Bethel, we believe God has big plans for your student. We're about bringing transparency and clarity to the college search and enrollment process so you can focus on what really matters, your student's education and their future. We've simplified our tuition and created the Bethel Promise Grant to make college more straightforward and affordable for families. This series of short videos brings together some of our best campus experts to address your top questions. This is Bethel Basics.
Well, my name is Mitch Fisk. I'm the Director of Admissions here at Bethel University, and today we have Ron Franklin with us, one of our VPs on campus. So welcome, Ron. He's been here since 2021.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about your experience prior to coming to Bethel?
Sure, yeah. So 2021, I came to Bethel after a lovely time over a decade in Northwest Iowa, specifically at Northwestern College in Orange City, where I served as Director of Diversity Initiatives at the institution, which was actually really similar to this role.
Sure.
But the level of responsibility here is much higher than what it was there. So great time, great people in those places. My family is there, in-laws and such. They taught me what it looks like to be in an agrarian culture, which I love. But the real kicker was relationships brought me this direction.
Sure.
So there were so many people who I knew and loved who were singing the praises of Bethel, so much so that they were here.
Yeah.
And they gave me a call.
Yeah.
And after 4 of those phone calls, those folks were unconnected to one another. I decided I should find a way to join them.
There seems to be a trend.
There was a trend, a theme, and I was like, okay, God, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And you have an athletic career in your background as well. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Went to college to play basketball.
Sure.
Ended up being a better football player. I got to play a couple years of professional football indoor league while I was getting my master's degree and PhD, and it was a challenge, Mitch, while starting a family and being a homeowner and all of these things. So God helped me settle down a bit and realize, hey, it's time to focus your energy.
Yeah.
Got your degree, figure out what it is perhaps that you have been created to do in this world and how you can connect that with some of the world's greatest needs. So, and it's landed in this position of Vice President of Inclusive Excellence.
Well, as you think about your role here, you're the VP over the Office of Inclusive Excellence. In the world, DEI is probably most closely assigned with that diversity, equity, inclusion. And with some people, those 3 letters can create some stress. So can you talk a little bit about how that lands here at Bethel and how you approach those conversations?
Yeah, Mitch, thank you for diving right in.
Yeah, let's get into it.
This is really good. No, I'm actually thankful for opportunities to help clarify what diversity, equity, and inclusion means to us.
Yeah.
And frankly, we take a step back to explore our foundation and understand, what does Bethel even mean? What is it called towards, and how does it inspire how we might think, feel, look, and act?
Yeah.
So for us, Bethel, in a broken down way from its original roots, is significant in that it suggests it is house of, Bethel, God.
Right.
So we are called to be a reflection of the house of God, which is what sets the foundation for why we do what we do with regard to inclusive excellence.
The story that's running all the way through the Bible and throughout the book, from cover to cover, we see that humanity was made in God's image. And we know that all tribes, tongues, nations, and people will be gathered around the throne when the Lord returns.
Yeah.
And that's what heaven's going to look like. It's going to be incredible. So our work with regard to DE&I, if you will, that's not the starting point for us.
Sure.
It's actually the result, if you will, of where we focused our energy on our foundation of being a place that is called to reflect the house of God.
Sure.
And so we take that approach to diversity, equity, and inclusion, ensuring that all of humanity is seen as beautiful. But we also acknowledge our brokenness. We are not perfect, but we do need each other.
As you talk through this concept of DEI, and the impact on the campus. What does it look like practically on a day-to-day basis? And I know it doesn't exist just for students, it exists for the community. So can you talk about some of the practical things?
We are in pursuit of looking, feeling, thinking, and acting like the house of God. And so as you might imagine, that's work for our entire community to be engaged in. And so as it relates to our faculty and our staff, there's a couple ways that we pursue looking like the house of God. So in our attempts to go find incredible talent, people who love Jesus and who love higher education and the mission at Bethel of ensuring that we're developing leaders, scholars, and servants who are prepared for lives of impact and making the world a better place, if you will, we want to find the best people that reflect the house of God who can help us make that happen here. So that's one way in which we do it with faculty and staff. In addition to the ways in which we develop their capacities to love God and love their neighbors as themselves.
So as we think through, as I think through conversations I have with parents most often, there's 2 or 3 concerns. One of the top concerns is always, what does it look like employment-wise for my child post-graduation? Talk a little bit through what that impact is from your office for students.
Sure. Yeah, there's some interesting things about what employers are looking for. That inclusive excellence and the services or capacities that we're helping develop in our students positions them in a way that they stand out. They stand out. And so what we've decided to do is to ensure that we've kind of taken some of the best science around how to enhance human connection and leverage that so that our students can be effective in their functioning in spaces that are characterized by cultural difference. So specifically, that's called cultural intelligence, which we have embedded in our first year students experience and ensuring that our students who serve in leadership roles on campus are given those capacities. So this could be in the dorm rooms and in the halls, or it could be in the co-curricular spaces like what's happening even on our teams to ensure that our team captains have the ability to connect with their teammates in a way that elevate their ability to function well together. And so we've seen a great deal of success. Those are the types of skills that employers are going to be looking for, specifically teamwork, communication, and collaboration, right? The ability to be culturally intelligent or to have a higher level of capacity in those areas gives you a leg up on your competition. But what it means for us at the end of the day is that we're going to love our neighbors really well.
Well, and specifically in that realm, it's not just for students either. That's part of the faculty and staff org development that's taking place here as well, correct?
Absolutely. So even as we maybe imagine, you and I, Mitch, might approach the world really differently. It could be in relation to the ways in which we communicate. I could be a direct communicator. Frankly, my dad is a Marine. And so the ways in which he would tell me what to do and the expectation of how fast I responded to that expectation might be different than the ways in which your parents communicated with you, which then might make it challenging for us to interact well together. Because if I come to you with a direct reflection and you are maybe what we might call an indirect communicator, you could feel quite disrespected by the ways in which I said, hey, Mitch, you should tie your shoes right now. Or I could say, hey, Mitch, it looks like your shoes are untied. So we are helping develop our students and our faculty and our staff's capacities to work effectively, communicate well, essentially at the end of the day, love our neighbors in ways that would call us to reflect better the house of God.
Well, Ron, I think one of the things in some of our conversations I've learned that inclusive excellence goes way beyond just a race conversation. And as we've talked about our community, can you talk a little bit more about sort of that broader definition, if that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have a gift of an opportunity to expand our imagination about human difference. Frankly, this idea of being born in the image of God, that every human holds that, is a gift that we should continue to find ways to embrace. And so for us at Bethel, when we think about what that means, it includes, but it's not limited to race and ethnicity. Right, so we have conversations about folks who are differently abled in their mental or physical capacities. I teased a bit about our direct or indirect communication
Yeah.
styles, right? These are things often that are shaped by our culture, but there's individual and idiosyncratic differences that exist within us as well. Even twins don't function fully the same as they operate in the world.
Yeah.
So I think it's a gift for Bethel to be willing, ready, and interested to be engaging in conversations about human difference that is beyond race and ethnicity.
Yeah.
But I want to be clear, race and ethnicity is included in those conversations. It's simply not the only thing that we focus our energy on, because we know that God has made us as image bearers really, really different in a lot of different ways. And we have Paul to thank
Yeah.
as we think about what it means for us to function as a body
Right. Right.
with many members with different skills and capacities. We see it in the gospel and we see it in good science,
Yeah.
that teams that have a variety of people present, functioning at their best, they benefit each other.
Right.
So we need one another to be who we are.
Yeah.
I need Mitch to be Mitch. You
Right.
need Ron to be Ron,
Yeah.
so that we can image God together as we are in pursuit of this idea of embodying shalom.
Yeah.
We'll be at our best together when we embody who God has called and created us to be, not when we pursue uniformity.
We have another session specifically on career development where we met with Stan and he talked through some of that. There are things that we do specifically for student groups. Can you talk a little more in detail about those things?
Yeah, I love Stan. Our
Yeah.
team works and meets. Actually, they're meeting with Stan right now as we speak.
Yeah.
But what I love about the Career and Calling Center is that, again, we are ensuring that our students have the capacities to be effective once they leave this place.
Sure.
To expand the reach of the gospel and the good news in the world. With that, we are helping to ensure that students, especially those who are coming from under-resourced backgrounds or have experienced marginalization in some form or fashion, we're ensuring that those students have the connections, the networking, and the capacities that they need to enter into the world on a level playing field, which is pretty exciting.
Right.
We don't need to go too far into the good book to look at how Jesus addressed a multitude of people in both broad and specific ways, but we are working to ensure that students who are coming from all backgrounds can thrive here and beyond. And so it's been really a privilege to be able to work alongside the Career and Calling Center to help ensure that our students have what they need, from workshops that connect them with employers to building up mentorship programs to help equip and launch our students to go serve in the world well.
Yeah. Yeah. Ron, I can't say enough how much I appreciate you taking the time to come and talk with us. And I know that we could fill a lot more time. As families hear and see this, like for them to reach out to your office, are you guys open to that, to have conversations about any of the things that we've touched on, or maybe they have questions that we didn't have time to touch on today?
Yeah, our office is always open, except for maybe on nights and weekends. No, I'm just kidding. We are open and would invite future conversations, follow-up conversations. You could email me after you connect with our office.
Sure.
But no, I'm open to having conversations. This could be via email or even from sit-down conversations from time to time. I love to be a part of the students' journey to this place. And I think parents play a really, really critical role in exploring the next steps with our students. And at the end of the day, we want to see people be at their best. We want to see people thrive. We want to see people flourish. And if having a conversation with us is part of that process, especially as it's facilitated perhaps here through Bethel, it would be my pleasure to join.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Mitch.
You bet.